Elantra Science 2015. Hello everyone! There are no complaints about the corrosion resistance of the body. It is reliably protected from corrosion. Moreover, the paintwork is not distinguished by the fragility characteristic of most Koreans. At least outwardly, even the older specimens look quite attractive, without numerous chips and scrapes. But over time the situation may change. After all, the most respected representatives of this model date back to the end of 2016. In fact, Elantra is not yet 3 years old. However, complaints have already begun to be received about switching headlight blocks, which is the fault of the leakage of their design. Also, some owners complain about tooth in metal, which is difficult to straighten. Therefore, in the event of an accident, body elements will have to be bought new. In this case, we strongly do not recommend taking Chinese spare parts. Firstly, they will not stand for a long time, they quickly rust. And secondly, it is very difficult to adjust them when welding when the car is being prepared for painting. In general, dealership masters recommend Korean-made body parts of high quality and expensive analogs of famous manufacturers. But most of all complaints are caused by insufficient sound insulation. Many owners have installed additional Shumko, and there are many such machines on the market. So if you wish, you can find an option even with full protection, with a coating of wheel arts and bottom. It should be noted that the soundproofing of the engine compartment is quite decent. Under the hood, two petrol engines with a volume of 1.6 liters 128 horsepower of the G4FG series and 2 liter 150 horsepower of the G4NA series are working, both motors with a timing chain drive and a variable timing system. They are well known to mechanics from the predecessor model and other cars of the concern. The units are generally reliable, and they can quite willingly consume 90-second gasoline, however, provided that it is of high quality. Surrogate fuel adversely affects the reliability and durability of engines. For example, the use of a bad gasoline leads to clogging of the intake manifold, which will be known by floating engine speeds. At the same time, spark plugs and ignition coils, the power supply system and injection also suffer. But most importantly, keep an eye on the condition of the catalytic converter. As soon as you feel that it begins to show the first signs of wear, change to a new part. The fact is that the catalyst, which was pretty much like its own, it is destroyed inside. Its ceramic honeycombs break up into small fractions and dust, which are sucked back into the cylinders. Though there is a mechanical effect on the mirror of the cylinder block, compression drops, the draw of oil begins, and the engine is subject to major repair. And it will have to spend almost a six-figure sum. By the way, the 1.6-liter unit is more often seen in this. By 100,000 kilometers, engines begin to snort. Valve cover, gasket, crankshaft and camshaft oil seals, as well as various seals and packings flow. The shaft position and idle sensor, the lambda probe and other electronic trifles in the form of relays and fuses fail. A little longer distance the generator and starter. And the attachment belt is recommended to be updated every 6,000 kilometers. As such, there is no regulation for the maintenance of the mechanical boxes. However, salesmen recommend changing the oil in the manual gearbox every 90,000 kilometers. Although this is unlikely to save the unit from premature failure of the second and third gear synchronizers. This error has been common on the other Hyundai models since 2011. The Koreans claim that they have strengthened the design of the box, but on some machines such a defect still occasionally occurs. By another 150,000 kilometers, the linkage of the gear lever becomes loose. Correcting the defect will require an expensive intervention using a penny repair kit. But the automatic transmission of its own design is unconditionally reliable. It has been installed in Hyundai and Kia cars for almost a dozen years, and during this time all the congenital sources of the automatic transmission have been successfully cured. Most importantly, don't forget to change the transmission oil after 6,000 to 9,000 kilometers, and also try to avoid excessively sharp maneuvers and do not allow long slippage in mud or snow, and you will be happy. But the suspension seems to be specially created for active and aggressive driving, which is why it differs in excessive rigidity. On the one hand, this fact only plays into the hands of ambitious drivers, and on the other hand, not every average driver will be satisfied with such a low ride. In addition, a dancing charge quickly breaks wheel bearings, ball bearings and silent blocks. Although the cost of spare parts for Hyundai Elantra is quite reasonable, and the resource of parts is no less than that of competitors. Consumables are struts and the bushing of stabilizers, which on average use 20,000 to 45,000 kilometers. Together with them, those who think they are Schumachers usually updated wheel bearings. But drivers deprived of racing ambitions come to the service to replace them 2 to 3 times less often. Shock absorbers can withstand hundreds of thousands of kilometers. Approximately the same amount is measured for ball bearings. It should be noted that the durability of suspension paths depends not only on the driving style, but also on the original quality of the components. So the Saturn has razor weak brake discs which warp after several braking to the floor. Although again this is mainly complained by gambling drivers lovers of light. At the same time, you will have to fork out for steering tips which wear out for 20,000 to 40,000 kilometers of run. Yes, and the rail can knock up to 50,000 kilometers. But there are no complete statistics on electrical equipment yet. On the one hand, the electrics on the Elantra are not particularly difficult, which in general is not bad, but on the other hand, the car is still young and apt to acquire chronic source. Nevertheless, glitches in the system periodically occur. The parking sensors and the power window control unit fail. In expensive versions, the multimeter sometimes freezes. Little things, of course, but annoying. But they are inexpensively repaired and under warranty and completely free. Summing up, we can say that Elantra is practically devoid of any problems whatsoever. This is partly due to the relative youth of the motor. Although we must pay tribute to Hyundai, whose cars have recently pulled up in terms of quality and reliability. And the Elantra is by no means an exception. And if finances allow, we recommend asking the price of post-styling versions of the Saturn, which have already had childhood illnesses. If you have had such a model, share information about what and how it breaks in the comments.